Have you ever spent hours answering shadow work prompts only to step away from your journal and still feel like a victim to the exact same triggers? I did that for years too. I thought that if I asked myself, why do I feel this way, it was healing me, but actually it was keeping me in this loop. It was keeping me stuck. Your triggers, they don't want to be questioned. They want to be comforted. They want to be understood. They want to feel safe. So let's talk about how to actually integrate your shadows without reliving your past. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Priyanka and I'm here to help you navigate through life with a leap of faith and positivity. On this channel, we talk about anything that makes this human experience a little more soothing, a little more smoother of an experience. I don't have a microphone today. It decided to quit on me for some reason, so today we are gonna be without a microphone. And second of all, thank you so much for 50 subscribers. It's a milestone, so I am so grateful for everyone who watches my videos, who finds my videos helpful, and I am just very, very grateful to you. So thank you for all the love and all the support. Let's talk about shadow work today. Shadow work is the term which is pretty self-explanatory. I was trying to make sure that I don't twist on that word. I don't slip that word explanatory because it was like kind of hard for me to pronounce. So I did it in my first attempt, so I'm so happy about that. Anyway, your shadows are the parts of yourself that you deem bad, unacceptable, or even toxic. The shadows are the labels that we want to avoid. These are the labels, these are the names that we don't want to look at, we don't want to acknowledge, and we want to pretend like they do not even exist. But when we pretend that they are non-existential, do they disappear? They don't disappear. They just get buried into our subconscious mind. When we ignore them, they sink into our subconscious mind. They stay there because these hidden parts of us actually want to be comforted, they want to be held, they want to be reassured, and they want to be understood. So the work in the shadow work is to pull out those parts of ourselves from within our subconscious minds, and we look at them with so much love that you cannot help but feel the surge of love for yourself and the parts of you that you deem undesirable. What you are doing is that you're pulling these shadows out of darkness, looking at them and bringing them to the light and to love by reassuring yourself and loving and comforting yourself. That is the idea of the shadow work. The problem with most of the advice online of shadow work tells that if you ask yourself these tough questions, they revolve around, when was the first time you felt this way? What am I avoiding? What am I protecting myself against? What am I protecting myself against? What am I missing from my life? Or what is the underlying desire or the need that I desire in this situation? Why does it cause pain or rejection? And all these questions, you could take the time out to answer these questions, but in my experience, when you ask yourself these questions, you are leaving the shadows in the shadow realm. But like I said, that the point of doing the shadow work is to pull out the undesirable parts of yourself and then bring them to the light. That is the goal of the shadow work. But when you just ask yourself these questions, they're not going to get you anywhere. They're just going to remain where they came from. You're not doing anything to extract them from the darkness. So the point, so how do you actually do the shadow work? How can you reassure and acknowledge these very parts of you? You do that by telling yourself that it is okay to think this way and it is okay to feel this way. The only type of shadow work that people need to do is not to feel the pain, not to cry over and over how your parents were never there for you, but only to always tell yourself that it is okay to feel what you're feeling. It is okay even if you're feeling the jealousy, the insecurity, the anger, the fear, the shame, the guilt. It is okay to feel all these emotions. Feeling these emotions do not make you a bad person. Even when you judge yourself or you feel judged, tell yourself that it is okay if you said this or you thought this way. Because not to ask yourself when the work is not to ask yourself when did you feel this way the first time, or why do you feel this way, or what is your deep-seated desire. It's the point is not to ask yourself all these questions. And I'm speaking this from my personal experience. When I started doing, when I would like I have asked myself all these questions so many times. I would even like go to the social situations where I just did not even have the confidence to talk to people, right? And I would just come home and then do the shadow work and then ask myself all these questions. When was the first time I felt this way? Why did I act this way? Why did I feel this way in this situation? And most of the times the answer would revolve around, oh, like I was never seen. Everybody thought I was too naive. I didn't even know how to speak, and it came from, and that my parents were never emotionally available for me. And these were most of the answers that would come up. And so when I understood that this is mostly the root cause and that I was feeling this way, the answers were just like repetitive at that point. But even when I understood that this is the place that it's coming from, it didn't do me any good. It didn't do me any good because I would in fact cry over the fact that I was never really seen as a kid, right? Like I was always a good kid. I was always a high grader. I would point out my teacher's mistakes when I was a child, but I was that good of a student, but I still didn't feel seen. I still felt like my parents were not really there for me. And that manifested as a lack of confidence, right? So the point is that I was asking myself all the right questions, what they would say, all the right questions, but answering those questions didn't get me anywhere is what I am trying to say. Okay, so I have personally asked myself these questions so many times, and I would even cry while journaling only to relive the emotional unavailability from my parents as a child, only to get more frustrated and almost feel like there's no way. And I would in fact feel like there was no way out of this mess I have been through as a kid. Like, how am I supposed to sit myself down and be like, oh, like, and in fact feel sorry for myself, right? This is how shadow work makes you feel. Even while you are answering these questions, you find yourself judging for even thinking or feeling so heavy and so much interest or whatever the deep-rooted emotions that you feel on a normal basis are. You almost you feel even worse in your head that it is a pattern, and you might even spiral thinking if there is ever an end to this. So answering these questions does not help you integrate your shadows. Your triggers, they don't want to be questioned or interrogated. They just want to be understood. When you work through something, it is supposed to make you feel good. It's supposed to make you feel better. However, the more you ask yourself these questions, the more trapped you feel in your head. So there's no need to ask yourself all these long drawn out questions as to when and why I feel this way. It doesn't get you anywhere, but you'll be running in circles. If there's any type of shadow work you want to do, if there's any that you want to do, it should only be that you tell yourself that it is okay to think this way, it is okay to feel this way, and tell yourself that it is only a set of thoughts, that it is just an illusion. And what I think is what I get in my physical reality. Everything is a mirror. Whenever you spiral and think all the thoughts, they want you to tell them that it is okay to feel whatever it is that you are thinking and feeling. How do you think a mother comforts her crying child? She holds the baby and tells them that it is okay if you're hurt or if you fail the class. That is how the child feels safe. The child doesn't feel safe if they are being thrown a million questions at them. You can ask yourself questions if you really want to deep down into the shadow work, even though there's no point. But even if you want to, I would recommend that after you have comforted yourself enough in that situation, after that you can start asking these questions if you want to. But just saying to yourself that it is okay to feel these thoughts and emotions is enough. It helps you understand your shadows at a very deep level. Now, a pattern means different situations that bring up the same feeling. For example, there's this one girl on Instagram, and she makes you feel insecure because of how she looks. The same girl makes you feel insecure because of her dressing style. They seem like two different triggers, but they are really pointing to the same underlying feeling, and that is insecurity. So whenever that feeling comes up, remind yourself that it is okay to feel this way. And keep saying this each time the feeling appears. When you do it enough times, your brain stops reacting to the insecurity, and the beauty or this style that once felt like a threat, it starts to feel safe. So when you shadow work prompts, one of the most common questions they ask you to address is the feeling or the judgment or whatever it is that you're trying to avoid. They ask you, what are you trying to avoid? That question is a relevant question, but you don't have to dig deep to answer the question. And when you are saying your affirmations or doing any techniques, be it sets or scripting or vision boarding, and thinking as if you already have your desire, in that state, you're not avoiding anything that you desire, but you're holding your desire like you would hold yourself as a child. Manifestation can naturally give you the feelings that you want to feel that come with your desires. So manifesting something can actually do the shadow work for you. Let's say that you want the best hair of your life, and you think that you're not attractive enough because you don't have the hair that you would like to have. So currently you view yourself as somebody who's not attractive, and nobody wants to talk to because you don't have good hair. And you see yourself as that person because it is a comfortable thought to think. But when you start viewing yourself as someone who has the best hair, then you also see yourself as somebody who enjoys her hair, feels confident about her hair, and then sees herself as someone who everybody wants to talk to. In this case, you're already rising above the low frequency emotions like fear of not being enough because you don't like your hair. When you start thinking from your desired reality, then you are already holding a space for your desires. You are signaling to your brain that you are safe to be desired. You are safe to love yourself, that is doing the shadow work right there, then and there for you. In this case, the shadow might be that I am undesirable because of my hair, but you are forming for the most gorgeous hair in the world. Your self concept also is naturally improving. You will then, in your head, feel more confident talking to other people when, as a child, you have not felt confident. So, in this case, your manifestation is also doing the shadow work for you. Like, so the point is that whatever you are manifesting, whatever is on your vision board, whatever you're scripting about, whatever you are affirming about, whatever it is, you're also doing the shadow work with it, because you have a certain image of how you want to look in when you have the perfect hair, the most perfect hair in the world, right? So with that, you are not gonna think, oh, I'm not gonna, like, if you are affirming for healthy hair, for the most beautiful hair, you're not gonna be thinking in your head that I have the most beautiful hair and still be thinking insecure about your hair, right? That's just not possible, because in that reality there is only one timeline, that is that you have long, luscious, beautiful hair, and you feel confident because of your hair. So you're not just affirming for good hair, for the beautiful hair, but you're also affirming for your confidence and the way that you feel about yourself in general. That's how manifestation works. So when you do that, then you're also, your manifestation is also doing the shadow work for you. That's how it works. And also, like, this is all that I had to say today, but before I go, I want to make this clear that shadow work is not needed for manifestation. I manifested a person when I was not fully healed. I manifested a person, and that was not a specific person that I was manifesting, but I just manifested the qualities of that person, right? And that was a time when I was not healed. I am still the same person. I try to do all of the healing work, all of the shadow work, and while all of that is good, but it can make you feeling stuck. It can make you feel like you're not good enough to manifest a specific job, or you're not worthy of being a millionaire if you do not do your shadow work, because that's how we deem shadow work, right? But I still wanted to make this video because I wanted to put it out there that shadow work is not this long drawn out process that everyone tells you. It doesn't have to be something that makes you put your life on hold because you're thinking in your head that I have not healed myself through this trauma, so I am not worthy of getting married to this person. I have not healed this trauma, so I am not worthy of getting this job that I so badly want. So the shadow work doesn't come first. Okay, shadow work doesn't come first. You don't have to put your life on hold just because you think that you have not done enough of shadow work. You can be a millionaire and still be unhealed. You can manifest marriage with your specific person. You can manifest going to studying at Harvard if that's your dream without doing the shadow work. And we have all talked about Neville Goddard's definition of shadows, right? Because like this world, the 3D world, is just a delayed version of your previous shadows, of your old identity, and that's it. So if you look at the whole thing of shadow work in terms of Neville Goddard, then there's no such thing as shadow work that exists. But if you still want to do the work, and if you especially if you're feeling stuck, running around in circles, thinking yourself, I am asking myself all these right questions that I googled on shadow work prompts and I'm still not getting anywhere, then this video is for you. Now, yeah, thank you very much for watching this video, and thank you again for 50 subscribers, and thank you for all the love, all the support, and for 50 subscribers. And yeah, please don't forget to like this video, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already. And also let me know in the comment section down below as to where you are in your shadow work journey and what is your take on shadow work, if you have ever attempted to do any. Okay, so yeah, thank you again, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.